allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you for doing that twice. Appreciate that. You'll now have a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. Gentlemen, we're now to our agenda approval. I know that there are a couple of amendments to our agenda. Under 2A, we need to put the amendment will be the minutes for June 9 and June 23. That will be 2A.
Those are the closed session minutes, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Under 7D will be Feldman versus Madison County et al. File number 20 CVS 341 7D under our county attorney's section. Are there other amendments to our agenda?
Mr. Chair, those closed minutes were supposed to be discussed at 7E
Okay.
under the county attorney's portion as well.
All right.
So I think we need to amend your motion.
Okay, was unaware we need to put it under 7E. Okay. I thought we did. Okay. No,
And we need 9D,
Okay.
which will be county board appointments.
Okay, so our motion is to move the closed session minutes to 7D, and under 9D will be the county board appointments. CARES Act is when we put it. All right, with all those changes and our new agenda we have now, do I have a motion to approve? Motion. Second. All in favor? Okay, we have an agenda. All right. Our first item is, number 2, is approval of the July 14th, 2020 special minutes, regular, and July 28th special minutes. Those are in your package.
Mr. Chair, having reviewed all three sets of minutes, I move that we approve the July 14th special minutes, the July 14th regular minutes, and the July 28th special minutes as submitted by Board Clerk.
I will second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, they're approved. Thank you, Mr. Weber. Public comment? No one has signed up for public comment. All right, we go to number 4. We have our friend from the United States Census Bureau, Charles. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. I want to make sure I got it right. Welcome and thank you, sir.
Evening, Charles.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me this time. As you said, my name is Chuck McGowan. I work for the United States Census Bureau as a partnership specialist in Western North Carolina. I represent numerous counties around here, and Madison is one of those. So tonight I'm going to give you a little feel for how the census has been going in Madison County, and then hopefully give you kind of a way ahead for the next 6 to 7 weeks when the census ends on September 30th. Which is a slight change, only in the last week and a half. Originally we thought we had October 31st. But recently that was changed, pushed back to September 30th. So I'll do my presentation, ladies and gentlemen, and then certainly stand by for questions after that. So first, I just want to give you some statistics on how Madison County is doing. We started self-response back in March. Self-response obviously is folks' opportunity to go online, on phone, or by mail and complete the census themselves. So you can see, I kind of gave you some frame of reference for the United States. I'll step around here. The United States as a whole, self-response is sitting at just above 63%. And North Carolina is slightly behind that at 59.3%. So out of the 50 states, North Carolina is generally coming in around 35th or 36th. Not really where we want to be, but we're not necessarily unhappy with 59%. Madison County is falling about 51.2%, and again, for reference, in 2010, your self-response was 54.3%. So coming in just shy of that, and really no reason why we can't still hit that 54% that we did in 2010. The Census Bureau tracks all incorporated towns in North Carolina as well. So here's where yours fall right now. Marshall 54.8, and then you see the 2010 numbers over in parentheses. Marshall's at 52. Hot Springs coming in a little bit lower at just under 36%. And there's a lot of reasons for that we'll discuss here. But really right now, kind of the standard that we're looking at is have we gotten above 50%? And as a county you have for sure, you've seen good progress over the last few weeks, seeing almost a 1/10 of a point improvement every day, which quite honestly is a big deal. A lot of counties right now are seeing a 1/10 like maybe every 3 to 4 days. Been kind of depressing watching the numbers, to be honest with you. But Madison County is seeing some pretty good improvement. Again, still have a little bit to go, but you see for your incorporated cities, everyone has already surpassed their 2010 goals. So we'd love to get there as a county. And there's some reference numbers again. The #1 county in North Carolina right now is Union County, coming in at just about 71%. And again, their demographics in Union County are a lot different than what we have out here in most of western North Carolina. So we'll talk about some reasons why. For the counties surrounding y'all, Buncombe County is at 59.4, doing pretty well. Haywood's at 53.3, and Yancey's just a little bit below 50% at 47.9%. I know there's a lot of data. After this presentation, I'll certainly make sure Mandy has this brief if you want to relook at those later on, and those change daily. So here is a graphic of Madison County. The Census Bureau breaks it up into tracts that are generally kind of areas that fall under the same type of circumstances, whether they're in the city or they're rural. You can't really see where they're broken up as much, but each box points to the center of one of your tracts here in Madison County. So as you look around, I won't go through every number. As you get darker blue right now, that means that your numbers are higher. So you've got that one tract down there, 106.02. And again, you guys are much more familiar with your county than I am. I actually live in Transylvania County. So you know kind of what that area represents. Wow, almost 60% there, and we've already surpassed the 2010 goals. As you go north in Madison County, you see you get to those more rural areas, tract 101 and 102, and those are the areas where we have yet to reach 50% in Madison. So, you know, as we kind of brainstorm over the next 6 weeks, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to focus there, but you know, what type of strategy would we come up with for those areas is kind of the way we'd be thinking, and that's how the tracks help us out. I'll let you kind of look at that for a second. And again, I'll make sure that Mandy has his presentation so we can look at it again. So let's talk about some of the issues that western North Carolina sees, and they're certainly prevalent here in Madison as well. High number of second homes. So the way that we'll know that those are second homes, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the second bullet, was unoccupied, is that when we send our enumerators out, which started today, and they go knock on a door, if we haven't found anyone living there by the time enumeration ends on September 30th, we'll assume that that house is unoccupied, and we'll use other sources to try and determine that. There's a lot of reasons it would be unoccupied right now. The primary reason in West North Carolina seems to be that it's a second home that has not been returned to. And that is something that could have a serious impact in Western North Carolina, that folks just didn't come back because of COVID. So again, that's those unoccupied homes there. High number of renters, especially as I look at track 101, 102, renting 25 to 30%. We find that renters are actually our #1 most challenging demographic for a few reasons. One could be that they're getting the mail and they just assume that it's from the owner, so they're putting it in a pile and they don't answer it from the Census Bureau. And I know you guys know we send out a lot of mail, so they're putting into a big pile. The other could be that they're renting in a situation that is not 100%, you know, what maybe we would consider legitimate, and they're afraid that they're going to be found out, that they've got someone that they're that's in their house that's renting, that's not necessarily you know, maybe more than it's supposed to be, and folks just aren't getting answered for that reason. But we have a lot of hard to count communities, but renters tend to be our #1. So when we see a high number of renters, we expect that the response is going to be lower, and certainly those northern tracts have that. Broadband internet, especially in this decennial census in 2020, we know that for the last few months, the internet has been our primary means of advertising the census. So if folks don't have that, you know, I noticed again, tracks 101, 102, low broadband internet. It doesn't have to just be that. It could just be folks that aren't interested in the internet. We have some of those. Maybe don't have the devices necessary, or just aren't really busy on social media. certainly we've got some of those folks in the older demographic that love social media, but a lot of them aren't using it or haven't necessarily picked up on it yet. So we may not be reaching them with our internet campaign, but certainly that has been fairly saturated as well. And then PO boxes. We see it wasn't necessarily the northeastern tract, but that northwestern tract was about 20% PO boxes in Madison County. And for those folks, because the Census Bureau only sends mail to an actual residence, the way that we reach those folks is we hand deliver a questionnaire and a packet to them, to their house, to their residence. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we didn't complete that operation until only about 6 weeks ago. So for ages, those folks may not even known the census was going on, even though, to a lot of us, it feels like, again, we've been inundated. Those folks may not have known until the last few weeks. And again, when you get something put on your door, I think sometimes just psychologically, we assume someone's trying to sell us something, trying to get us to redo our mortgage, and that thing goes in a pile or in the trash. So what are we gonna do with those folks? We're gonna go to their house. We're gonna send folks to their house, and that started today. But we only have till September 30th now, and we've got a lot of homes to hit. So we'll kind of talk about some strategies there momentarily. And then as everyone knows, COVID just multiplied all these issues. Again, tracks 101 and 102 up in the north there, they're not necessarily the most populous tracks in Madison County, but they show lower just because they tend to have all those different issues prevalent there. Let's talk real quick about Dogwood Health Trust. Probably most folks are familiar with them. It's a fantastic organization that has issued a grant in Western North Carolina specific to the census. So what I have listed up here are some of the things that they're offering as incentives for folks to really take the census seriously over this next 6 weeks in a time where there's just so much going on. So the first is every county has been offered a $2,500 mini grant that they can do with whatever they want that they think will promote the census. So that could be advertising, marketing, social media, promotional videos, could be printing things. That's kind of the first part. And then for every point that a county increases, as long as they partner, and every county did partner to include Madison, except for one county a little bit further over to the east. For every 1 point starting on June 29th, the county gets $1,000 that it can do what it wants with. Except for political or terrorist activities or anything like that, obviously. But essentially, you can give back to the community. You can do what you need with that $1,000. And for the month of August, because we lost that month, they've doubled down and made that $2,000 for every point. Again, so that means right now Madison, really every week and a half, is earning $1,000, and right now $2,000 for the Dogwood Health Trust. Every county that increases above their 2010 self-response rate immediately earns $5,000. These numbers, I think, almost seem too good to be true, but they're just not. And I think Mandy's probably a resident expert on kind of Dogwood Health Trust here in Madison. But I still think definitely Madison can reach that self-response rate with the way you're going now. And certainly, there's no reason why we can't increase the effort between now and September 30th. So that $5 grand is a big deal. But here in red at the bottom is the thing that I think what we really need to get out to the community. Quite honestly, I think from a social media standpoint and things like that, we have saturated everything. What we need is face-to-face contact. And the way that we can do that outside of just the Census Bureau sending people to your homes is by having local nonprofits work with Dogwood Health Trust. So what that means is they partner with Dogwood Health Trust. They sign a very small, easy contract. We have several umbrella organizations that they can sign up with. And then every Friday, they will have spent the week either reaching out to their Rolodex of folks or setting up a booth somewhere that they think that they can do it safely and reach a large group of people. And they'll get $10 for every person they sign up. And again, that's actually $20 for the month of August. So a family of 5 comes by, and I don't know, it could be Rotary clubs. A lot of times they're trying to get food distribution facilities, those nonprofits to do it. A family of 5 comes up, completes the census questionnaire for that nonprofit. They're getting a check for $50, or right now $100. It's unbelievable, and they're throwing $1.5 million at this. And quite honestly, if we do really well, I think they would consider even increasing that. So really, I think where we get those boots on the ground is reaching out to our local nonprofits, and that's kind of one of the asks I think tonight is. I'm very familiar with Transylvania County's nonprofits, but locally here, there's a few nonprofits are kind of in that catch-22 right now, where they definitely need money because a lot of those sources may have dried up, but they also don't have the staff to do this. So I think in 6 weeks, we can find a way to try and make sure those nonprofits are able to take advantage. Dogwood Health wants to get money infused into those nonprofits through this. We've got to get them jazzed up, and I've been kind of amazed on a personal level at how much we're struggling to get nonprofits. They just don't have the people to throw at this. So the census, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot of people to throw at it either, which is why Dogwood Health Trust stepped in. So this is a great thing. Again, Madison County as a county has signed up. I think it's just a matter of finding those folks that we can reach out to in the nonprofit world. And quite honestly, they don't even have to be 501c3s. I'm reaching out to, like our local high school athletic teams and things like that. If they just call their parents, and if there's 10 families that haven't signed up yet, then that could be $400, $800 for that group at a time where fundraising maybe has been limited. So the way ahead, again, the count ends on September 30th. So wake up on October 1st and find that slip on your desk that is under a pile of life that's occurred. It's too late, and we've lost that chunk of money that they represent for your county. But on September 29th, we can still really make some money. Enumeration that began today, that is the door knockers, what most people kind of, when they think of the census, what they think of. So the other messages that we want to get out right now is, please tell your folks that when we knock on their door to help us out and give us the answer. You don't hear a lot of horror stories, but there's some. But some folks, if they don't want to be found, they're not going to be. We get that. But we want to try and reach as many folks as we can. And if we have to go back to a residence 4 or 5 times because they don't answer the door, it really is a kind of on the manpower perspective. And quite honestly, we should all be looking at it as it's also killing our tax dollars every time we send a person out there. Social media, we shouldn't be stopping social media, but again, I think we're at the point where we've saturated it. Definitely kind of break out your contact list and start calling. What I find during COVID, and it certainly is understandable, as soon as census isn't up on the screen, as soon as Chuck McGowan is out of here, census is over, and we forget about it. And quite honestly, between now and September 30th, every time you have a conversation with a friend or family member in Madison County, I want you to talk about the census and ask them if they've done it. And if they haven't, you should be asking them why, because they represent a chunk of money for your community that you're about to lose out on. And then again, we got to find those nonprofits to help out with this. They can put boots on the ground, enlist a local college. We're doing that at UNC Asheville. We're doing that at Western Carolina, trying to get some of those local kids out there and getting those groups earning the dollars as well. And certainly I'm available to help. I'll make sure Mandy has this brief. And there at the bottom, that's how you can complete the census right now, my2020census.gov, or you can call one of those phone numbers. We have other languages as well. Those tend to be the ones that are the most required here in Western North Carolina. And ladies and gentlemen, barring any questions, that concludes my presentation.
If you will check back with us, because we've been on the phone, we've already made contacts to the school system, and they're waiting for us to get to them. Our community centers and our food distribution, and we've already contacted 3 of the larger food banks in the county, and they're just waiting for us to provide them the information. So we will follow up on the mini grant to help cover some of the printing materials.
Awesome.
I don't want to speak on behalf of the school system, but I think they will help us absorb the cost of any materials. But they are still distributing huge amounts of stuff. They're about to have all of their students arrive on AB Day, coming up here in a few days. So we will have access to thousands of families, and the school system has been very eager to help us. The superintendent is very much on with us here. So in the next couple of days, we just need to get together and do that part. And then through the meal outreach that we do through our community services program and others. And I think once we start doing that, with Paul's help and anyone else, we ought to be able to get some really good community outreach here.
Yes, sir. I think you'll be shocked at how much you can do between now and September. There's a lot of folks that are like, oh, we lost the mark. It's not about what we lost. What can we do in the time we have left? And there's a lot we can do.
Right. And but the school system, for one, and some of they're very eager to get started after our conversations of last week. So
Those
here
are
in the
the
next
right
day or
attitudes.
two, let's get on with it.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for taking your time to come this evening.
My pleasure.
Truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Paul, thank you for the wonderful article on the front page of the paper this week.
Safe travel, sir.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
All All right, while we get our lights back on, so Lori can come talk to us. Lori Ray, our tax collector, but probably want the lights on so we can see her. Good evening.
I'm here tonight to present an annual settlement and also to order collection for some joint taxes. And also to present the leases and reimbursements. So my first item is my annual settlement for 2018 taxes. You'll find in there a statement, a sworn statement, a collection report, a computation of our tax collection rate, a breakdown of our collections, not only just the taxes, but also fire tax, disposal fees, late list, interest, and that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, I want to pull out a key number. The collection rate is 95.026%. And so I want to thank you and everyone associated with, that's an excellent rate.
We were expecting it to be lower because of the pandemic. Last year's rate was 95.04. So comparable to last year, I think we did pretty well. So.
That's excellent.
Mr. County Attorney, I got a question. Since we now know that our collection rate has not gone down because of the COVID pandemic, is it possible to amend our budget for the year in order to lower the millage rate to reflect our higher collection rate?
Well, I don't think you can right now, but because your bills have already gone out. And your bills, you set your millage rate when you adopted your budget. So the bills have already been sent out.
It's not sent out, they're in process, they're close to being sent out, very close.
So if the bills haven't been sent out, I mean, you can amend your budget any time that you want to.
But y'all would have to go in and change everything again, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, it would be, as long as, it could be done, but it would be.
And there's a process that you would have to go through. You could not do it like a regular budget amendment, because when you adopt your budget, you do it through public hearing and so there would have to be notice in that complete process too.
So I would be out of order if I made a motion to reduce our millage rate at this time?
You would never be out of order as a commissioner to make whatever motion that you would choose to make. If the commissioners decided to adopt such a motion, then we would have to look into the process to see whether or not it could actually be carried out in a timely manner.
All right. Well, Mr. Chair, since we now know that our collection rate in the midst of the COVID pandemic is 95% plus a little, I would make a motion that we amend our county budget for fiscal year 2020, 2021 to reflect that collection rate and to lower the millage rate by an additional 2 cents.
Fellow commissioners, you've heard.
I ain't for it. I just think.
I'll second the motion.
There's still an unknown out there with the COVID.
There is a second. Further discussion there. Mrs. Nelson. Further discussion, Mr. Gentry. My discussion would be, can we do that without it being on our approved agenda?
You would have to, if you're going to vote on it and take out action on it, you're going to have to amend the agenda.
Okay, let's do it.
Can we do vote
You
now.
can amend your agenda at any time that you have the appropriate majority to amend the agenda.
All right. Mr. Chair, I move that we amend the agenda in order to accommodate said motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? So now it comes down to a vote. Are we going to amend our agenda for the purpose of changing the millage rate? Is that what I understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay? All in favor? Okay.
Well,
And if they don't have a vote for opposed, that they count as they were voted in favor of the
Okay,
of the motion, correct, Mr. Attorney?
You're going to have to ask those that
Those-
support it and those that.
All in favor? Okay, all against?
My second item is the order of collection for 2020 taxes. This just gives us the authority to collect 2020 taxes, and it places an official lien against the taxpayer's real and personal property in the event they are not collected, required by general statute.
Okay.
Say that for me one more time, Lori, I'm sorry. I apologize.
The order of collection is required by general statute. It just basically gives me the authority to collect the taxes, and if the taxes remain unpaid, to use any collection remedies available.
Okay. You need a vote on that? Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Snelson. Do we have a second?
I will second the motion.
Discussion? All in favor? Anybody against? Okay.
And the last item, I'm presenting the tax releases and refunds for this month, and there's only one release to be approved, and that's for $74.46.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the tax refund as released.
Okay.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
And again, job well done.
Mr. Chairman, sir, sorry, do we need a motion to approve number A, that Lori presented, the annual settlement of 2019 taxes?
Yeah, I think I threw a monkey wrench into things there and got you guys off track on that.
No worries, okay.
5A.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Thank you, Madam.
I'll make that motion, we approve.
Second, discussion? All in favor? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sherry, tell me. Good evening.
We are going to defer the county property.
Sorry?
We're going to defer the county to the next meeting. We'll table.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to present to you tonight. I will be reporting you in a very brief manner. The item I'm presenting tonight is the Small Business Loan Fund. It was originally presented to you on May 19, 2020, and again on June 23rd, 2020.
So for tonight, I'm good. Yes. I just need a few things from you this evening. Number one, and you all have the resolutions in your packet. When we created the Small Business Loan Fund, it was done so using economic development funds from Madison County. So these are not CARES Act funds. These are funds that you as commissioners said that are a priority to support your small businesses in Madison County. And as a result, we had community members who stepped up and said that we would like to support this initiative. The Rotary Club of Madison County has donated or contributed $2,500. And the Madison County Madison County Chamber of Commerce has supported this initiative with $10,000. Those funds have been received, and so officially I need from you all to approve the resolution approving those funds and then allocating those funds to the Mountain Biz Works. So tonight I'm requesting two motions, one to receive the funds and two to allocate those funds.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Madison County Commissioners accept the funds from Rotary Club of Madison County and the Madison County Chamber of Commerce and provide them to Mountain Biz Works for the Madison County Small Business Loan Fund.
I will second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor? Thank you, Mr. Director.
That's all I have for you this evening. Thank you so very much for your support.
Do you need the authorization of the interim county manager to sign?
That resolution would be approved. I assume that that will be a part of the motion.
It is.
But yes,
Okay.
officially say that.
Okay.
Yes.
So sorry, I thought we needed two separate motions, my mistake. So I would then make a second motion, Mr. Chair,
Okay, yes.
that I move that we authorize the interim county manager to do any and all other acts and to execute any and all other documents which he, in his discretion, deem necessary and appropriate in order to consummate the transactions contemplated by the resolution adopted on June 23rd, 2020, except that none of the above shall be authorized or empowered to do anything or execute any document which is in contravention in any way of the specific provisions of said resolution.
A second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Okay, both of them.
Okay.
And I'm going to guess Donnie wrote that because
He
he
did.
likes contravention.
He did.
Thank you.
He did.
Thank you. It read very well. Thank you for doing that.
Right, Donnie's up.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry. See you in the morning.
Mr. Laws?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir?
Mr. Chairman, members, I've got several things to talk to you about this evening. I think some of the documents are actually in your notebooks, and I may need to hand some of them out to you as we go. The first item is the CARES Act funding agreement with the towns. In your notebook, your first document you will see are some calculations that were prepared by the administration regarding your three municipalities in Madison County. The purposes of these calculations are to allocate funds that the county received through CARES Act funding. Originally, the monies came into the county, and the counties were entitled to use all of those monies under a certain set of specifications. Later on, the legislation was amended to require that 25% of the funds allocated to counties be reallocated by the county down to your municipalities. There was a lot of negotiations regarding what the county's role in that allocation would be. Would the county simply be a pass-through, or would the counties have to require the towns to support their disbursement of those monies back to the counties, and then the county then responsible to report those back to the legislature and the federal government? There were a lot of negotiations and conference calls. It was finally determined that the county would simply pass through the money to the municipalities, and the municipalities would then have to account directly to the funders, just like the county has to provide to the funders as to how those monies are going to be used. So the administration had proceeded to divide that 20% up, the money that was received by the county to Hot Springs, Marshall, and Mars Hill through a population calculation. So depending on what percentage of the population each of those municipalities had, they would receive that particular amount of the allocations. So working with state officials and federal officials, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners and a lot of folks developed an interlocal agreement. And it's the interlocal agreement that counties and municipalities entered into so that the counties could pass the monies down through to the municipalities. So Mandy and Norris have been working with your 3 municipalities to develop this interlocal government agreement with each of them so that we could get to them their monies as soon as possible. Because the towns have to present how they're going to spend these monies to the feds pretty quickly. So what you've got in front of you are 3 proposed interlocal agreements. The first one that you'll see in your package, I believe, is the one
Hot Springs.
Hot Springs.
With Hot Springs, with an allocation of $42,047.77. The second one is
Marshall.
an allocation to Marshall. The amount of that money will be $66,188.67. And then the final will be to Mars Hill, and that allocation will be $148,308.81. So what will happen is that if you approve these agreements, then the county, the municipalities will each have to, at a similar meeting, approve it. Once they approve it, then we can simply have our finance office issue a check to them because we have the money. Norris has been working on this. He and Mandy have actually been in communication with the 3 municipalities. Norris, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that summary.
No, they're waiting for us to do what we do so they can do what they do.
So I would ask that, of course, if there's a problem with any of these, we could take them one at a time. If there's not a problem, I would just simply ask that the board entertain a motion to approve all 3 interlocal agreements and then authorize your chairman to execute them and have the county manager deliver them immediately to the municipality. I'll make that motion.
Have a motion? Have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Attorney, just to clarify, make sure I understand. So they will then be responsible for all the reporting to the feds as far as the accountability of that money. The county cannot be held responsible if the town misspends the money in the eyes of the federal government. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Very good.
We had some different previous information given to us.
Okay.
This
Correct.
And that is
Donnie has
exactly right.
clarified.
The earlier information is that we were working very hard on an agreement to where we would have to, a clawback provision requiring the town to pay us back if they misappropriated any monies, and it was just slowing everything down.
Yes.
Through the entire state.
Yes.
So a lot of heavy hitters weighed in there.
Yep.
And they said, counties, you're out of it.
Yep.
Which was fantastic for us.
Yeah.
That was our original understanding was, so,
Yeah,
okay.
but it's
that
cleared up
clarifies it.
now.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Any other discussions? All in favor? Unanimous, okay. Thank you, sir.
The second item on your agenda is something that we, I think, briefly mentioned at an earlier meeting regarding the Spring Creek Fire Department and the expansion that they're doing on the fire department down there. We have sent some information to them about provide us a survey, provide us some documentation so that we can further evaluate what's going on. Somewhere along the way, wires got crossed, I think, regarding that process. I was contacted by Norris, and we made a quick trip down to Spring Creek about 2 weeks ago to see what progress was going on regarding the expansion of the fire department. You have in your package, courtesy of Mandy, a copy of it's a portion of a survey. And I'm sure most of y'all folks are familiar with the layout of Spring Creek down there beside the school. So let me reference you to, it'll be in the lower right-hand corner of the survey. It will be just appear at you're standing in the middle of Highway 209, and you will be looking at the front of the fire department. Their additions are on to the back of the building, which would be, there's a broken line on the survey that you can see would be the back of the building. So when we went down there, you know, to get the property survey, it would be a delay, and it would be an additional cost to them. So, you know, I've done property for 35 years, and looking at this, I told those folks, I said, look, I can take your survey and I can come up with a property description if it will satisfy your needs. So essentially what I did was just simply expanded the two lines of their property back a distance of 50 feet, which would give them an additional 50 feet on the back of their building. That would be sufficient to house a shower and an expansion that they're putting on the back of the building. The North Carolina general statutes allow county commissioners, without going through any kind of bidding process or anything like that, to convey property to volunteer fire departments, as long as you follow a very simplified procedure. So what I'm going to hand to you right now is going to be, this is simply the process you would go through in the event that you elect to convey to Spring Creek the fire department. What I've got here is a proposed deed.
Thank you.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I spoke with their fire chief this past weekend, and I think he had spoke with Norris on the LZ there, Norris, about that property.
Yes.
Is that in this here or not?
Donnie can explain. It is
Am I-
not.
It is
Why
not
it's not.
it's not in this. If you look at the plat there, Commissioner Snelson, the landing zone would be,
So the LZ's right here.
yes, sir, that's
What
right.
they were talking about, the people who own the school or all this property was wanting for them to go for the whole landing zone, because evidently the property line goes down the middle of it so they have no liability. So is that our land, their land, or what?
And I'll let Norris maybe jump in here. When we were out there, they were in the midst of doing their building.
Yeah.
And they had pulled a building permit, and they wanted to do it, and we were trying to figure out what the quickest way that we could do would be to get them that 25, 50 feet back there. Now, as we walked around that area, we saw a lot of things that you will potentially have to deal with maybe in the coming months. The lease with the
community center, we looked into that, we need to check on the status of that. That lease may very well have expired. We saw the landing zone over there.
We saw an area further behind the fire department. The fire department had been mowing and had been using. So we sort of thought that there needed to be some discussions between this board, the community center, and the fire department as to how to get all of those moving parts to work together. And if we had brought in the landing zone, that's more than 50 feet on the back of it, and I was not comfortable with trying to draw a survey or a description to the landing zone over there. But those were things that did come up that I think, would be worthy of a further discussion. We're just trying to put a finger in the dike and get this thing here done as soon as possible.
I think that covers the subject, Donnie. All right.
What I gave you was a proposed deed, and how that deed works is that the fire department already owns what is outlined here. They acquired a deed back in the early 1980s when I think the name of the fire department was West Madison Volunteer Fire Department. They're a legal corporate entity organized through the North Carolina Secretary of State's office. They've changed their name. So if their original deed was made to West Madison, technically they are Spring Creek Volunteer Fire Department right now. So the proposed deed just simply adds 50 feet onto the back of it. There's a condition in the deed which is exactly like the condition that was in the 1981 deed, which says you will use this property only for fire protection purposes, and you will not use it in a manner inconsistent with the adjoining property. Didn't change anything, that was to keep everything consistent. So if it's this board's desire to convey the property to Spring Creek, what you have to do, you have to simply run a notice in the newspaper. There has to be a 10 days notice. I have prepared here for Mandy's signature, it is a public notice conveyance of county property. This is a notice that would run in the local newspaper at least 10 days before your next regular meeting. And the notice has to describe in it the property to be conveyed. It has to provide what the terms of the conveyance is, and it can be without consideration. We have to put what we believe the value of the property to be. I have included that to be $1,500. I base that on the tax value of the 5 acres over there is $50,000. This essentially is 6,200 square feet. If you do those calculations, it comes down to about $1,492. Then this notice has that after that notice, it is your intent to convey the property to Spring Creek. So what the process would be, if this is something that you are interested in doing, then you would tonight authorize the running of the public notice. And I can give this to Mandy and she can make sure that it gets run in the newspaper. And then at your next meeting, which would be, you're still in that date, Mandy, I do not know what date it would be for September. Then you can consider actually adopting the resolution. If you adopt the resolution at that night, then you can then sign the deed at that time. So that's how the process would work if you choose to do it. If you choose to do it, you simply would authorize the process to be commenced by the running of the public notice tonight.
And just for the record, Donnie, again, this is just the 50 feet directly behind the
Yes, sir.
existing
Yes,
building.
sir.
All that
That's
is.
exactly what it is,
And,
man.
and that would take in, they told us that is how much they needed. We walked it off, we had to take
Yeah.
a measure and and
Hold
what
it.
they were building, their footers were there, it would fit.
And that also took in their fuel tanks too, did it not?
Yes.
Yeah, fuel tanks are already over the line.
That's fine, but that puts that liability on them instead of the county.
Yes,
That is
sir.
correct.
Do we know of any objections at this point from the community, the community center there?
When I was down there, we met with,
Fire department over.
yeah, there was a man and a woman, and they were very helpful. In fact, they provided us a copy of the survey and a lot of information there. No one has spoken to me other than those folks, and they were pleased.
So I have heard through the grapevine that there was a community club meeting tonight about that issue. And I think that's Dave from Dave's 209 that's waving at me right now,
I'm
so.
the president of the board for the Spring Creek Community Center. Are you talking about 50 feet from the back of the original fire department? Not since they've added the extension.
It's 50 feet from their original
Original
dig.
back. So that puts it about 13 feet past the fuel tank.
That sounds about
That sounds right. Yeah.
That was the understanding that I got from their fire department board meeting last night. So, no, that was something that we all agreed to and were happy about.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
We have a motion from Commissioner Nelson to approve this public notice being run. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, okay?
Could we do that on the-
I do need-
25th legally, Donnie, or do we have to wait?
Oh,
No,
we
the
won't get the
statute
time.
requires it has to be at a
Regular meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'd love to get it in done, but there's no way to
No.
do it.
And we didn't have enough time to get the notice in today, in order for you to do it tonight. We just didn't have enough time.
All right, if I can interject, I want to thank Donnie, I want to thank Mandy. She trudged along with us. We went over there a couple of days after. I want to thank Matt for bringing it to our attention and helping do it. And all of our appropriate staffs and the building inspectors, everybody working together. And this is getting that matter resolved. And then, Mark, to address your question as we move forward. But Donnie, I really appreciate you taking your time and working with us to get this resolved in as timely a manner as the law will allow us to do it. Thank you.
Ready for me to move along, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Item 3 is
You went through something similar to this several months ago when, there's certain properties that are on the state road maintenance system, and they may not actually be a public roadway, but they can be maintained by the state. DOT has a process that if a landowner comes in, and all of the landowners along a particular state-maintained road, if all of them sign a petition to remove that road from the state maintenance, then DOT certainly will accept that. You can understand why, then they don't have to go out and maintain it. They do all the paperwork, but the statute further requires that the county commissioners must adopt a resolution concurring with the state, with the landowner's request and DOT's concurrence in removing that from the road system. So what you have in your package is the letter that Chris Medlin, which is the district engineer for DOT, sent a letter to the administration stating that all of the property owners on Secondary Road 1587 have requested that DOT abandon the road from the state-maintained system. And you also have there the required resolution that the commissioners must adopt in order for the state to be able to finally take that action.
So really, what is before you is information that comes from DOT and the landowners over there. That's what they want done. And
Give it to them,
that's pretty well the gist of it. And I do not know whether the administration has heard anything at all about this other than what is in this package.
Absolutely nothing, sir.
So is this the only two that live on that road?
Apparently it is.
Yes.
DOT
They
said
are the
that
only two.
determination because they sent it to us and they said, we, the undersigned, being all of the property owners.
Yeah, they own the property the entire length of the road.
Vote, get on.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the DOT's resolution.
Other discussion?
Vote.
All in favor? Okay, here we go.
Under amendment, Mr. Chairman, item B, is it a lawsuit or is it the general account minutes?
It is the lawsuit, sir. 7D is Feldman.
So you amended your lawsuit, you amended your agenda in our special meeting. We had some discussion regarding a pending lawsuit against Madison County. The name of the lawsuit is Feldman versus Madison County, which has grown out of the Madison asphalt lawsuit. The lawsuit has been filed. There has not been any service on any of the defendants. There was discussion in closed session tonight with representatives of Roberts and Stevens. So I would ask that if it's the board's pleasure that you adopt a resolution to retain Roberts and Stevens to represent Madison County in this lawsuit.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
And my final item is we have had minutes, we've had items that we have discussed in closed session and prior meetings of the board. Our clerk has prepared for you a closed session general account of closed session meeting for Tuesday, June the 9th, 2020. Do you have those? Have you had an opportunity to review the closed session general account?
They should be independent, they should be separate. Look at your separate thing. Maybe over on the other side.
You don't have a copy of that.
No,
So there
it's
should
not
be
there.
two
It's
of
not
them
in
with
there.
it in your
Yeah.
packet.
I have an extra copy if somebody needs one.
I don't.
I don't know how I ended up
They
with
should
extra
be to
copies
the
somehow.
right. Here, Donnie, if you'll share those there.
Here is.
Here's an extra copy.
Thank you, sir. Here's one extra copy, Joe.
We should have June 9th and June 23rd, correct, Donnie?
That is
You should
correct.
have June 9th and June 23rd.
That is
Yes, sir.
correct, Joe.
That's what we have.
And I will give you June 23rd too.
Sir.
And I have reviewed them.
So I would like each of you to review that, and just like your regular minutes, if you so choose to adopt those as the general account of each of those specific meetings.
We need two separate motions, Donnie?
I would.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the Tuesday, June 9th closed session minutes as presented.
I will second.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. Other discussion? All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, having reviewed the June 23rd, I move that we accept them as submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you again, sir.
Thank you, Donnie.
All right, that takes us to our finance officer, Carrie Ledford. Good evening.
For you, find for your approval two budget amendments. Each one will need several votes. Please, if you will. The first will be for the
to set a special revenue fund to record CARES Act funds. And second is your standard budget amendment. So if you look at item A, I believe, is the budget amendment number 2. That reflects the remaining funds that were rolled over from FY20 in the total of $427,426.28. That's the remainder of the CARES Act money at June 30. This is the amount that will be set up in a special revenue fund, and I need your approval to do that since we'll be transferring out of the general fund into that into that special revenue fund.
Make that motion.
Second.
Discussion? Did you have something else?
I wasn't done, but that's fine.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
But with that in mind, this amendment is moving money into different line items, as that it was originally part was submitted back in May, and did not reflect that new requirement about 25% going to different
Correct.
municipalities.
Okay, we're cleaning it up. Okay, I got it. We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Sorry for interrupting, Carrie.
That's me, Matt, not you.
Part B, I believe, is the
Correct.
budget amendment 2B. Here we're adding money to the maintenance department for a much needed temporary position. You'll see also that we have received our second allocation of CARES Act funds. This is the amount of $422,219.87. These will be allocated to different lines similarly to how we set out in the original plan, with the addition to account for 25% to towns.
So that puts us over $1 million in CARES Act money, correct?
$6,000. Yes, sir.
And did the school get a second allotment of CARES Act money as well? I'm curious.
I'm not aware if they have that money.
Does
They have
anybody
not
know?
notified us. I have not
Nothing we
heard. No, sir. I can find out.
I'd like to know.
I'll
I'm curious.
find out.
Curious to know.
They did get 5 masks each for each kid and each teacher, though.
Yeah. I will find
Well,
out.
it doesn't sound like they're going to need them at this point, unless they're going to wear them at home.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we're looking at a budget amendment 2B. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will move.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Next item C is July's financial report. At the top of the first page, you'll see that we are 8.35% into the year. For all funds, we receive 4.55% of our revenues, and our expenses are at 5.2%, which are both well below the 8.35%. That's to be expected, though, as most of our revenue does come in toward the end of the calendar year as well as taxes.
Just 1 second, John.
I know this is typical for how we collect our money. Are you comfortable with where we're at the moment?
Yes, and especially that we have our expenses also down below, so our departments are doing very well watching.
Yes, they are.
I don't have any questions. I don't think she needs a motion or anything.
Anybody, everybody else good?
We're good.
Great, thank you. Very good.
Moving on to item D, this is for your information only, I'm presenting the health quarterly report for the period ending June 30, 2020. The report and cover letter are included in the packets.
Okay.
We don't need any action on that, do we, Carrie?
No action is necessary, sir.
Okay. I have no questions. Questions, okay?
Thank you, Carrie. I'll
Thank
see you in the
Carrie.
morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Mr. Gentry?
Don't be long-winded.
I will try my best. You will find in your book the first of what will be in the future regular written reports in addition to all of the normal things that I provide you in various ways. And at each meeting, I will actually prepare a written report. And so I'm not going to read that report into the record. Commission Chairman, Dr. Goforth, and I had our first joint Chairman Managers Department Head meeting in this very room on August the 3rd. There will now be a regularly scheduled session on the first Monday of every month with our department heads.
Excellent.
The consultant contract the BOC made with Forrest Gilliam on March 13, 2020, as we know and previously approved, is on schedule for completion. Work is underway on the construction of the safe room for the COVID-19 and other tests at the health department. Please contact Cammie Cody, Health Department Director, if you would like to check it out. We are also working with the tax office on any necessary modifications required during the tax payment period. These projects are funded through CARES Act resources. Preparations for the mailing of tax bills are on schedule, as Lori said earlier tonight. And Lori Ray, the tax collector, and all the staff in her department have been doing an outstanding job in preparation for this. Brooke Ledford, Human Resources Director, has begun the process of updating our employee handbook to model after the North Carolina Standard Handbook, and again, she had that in her report as well. Brooke and I are beginning to develop a comprehensive inclement weather plan to begin this winter, working with all departments to develop the recommendation to be presented for the board's consideration in October. I have begun the process of developing a timeline and process for reviewing of all the ordinances in the county. This will be a major activity. The preliminary plan will be presented for your review prior to our September regular meeting. Add note there, I will mail that out to you, and we will then discuss how we want to proceed at that meeting. Mandy and I have begun the cost-benefit analysis for the consideration of the development of an in-house vehicle service program. We are also checking out the options of leasing new vehicles instead of outright purchase. All new county vehicles will be on hold until we complete the lease purchase analysis. We plan to have that completed in time for not later than our September 22nd work session. From this meeting forward, you will be given a written report at each regular and work session meeting, for the record. Now, Connie Harris is not with us this evening, but we have a updated report of the General Assistance Program for COVID-19 relief that is administered through the Department of Social Services. There have been 58 applications received to date, 17 approved. Applications approved up to $500 have been 11. Applications approved up to $1,200, 6. Applications denied, 28. Applications denied for non-COVID reasons, because you do have to qualify under some very strict guidelines, 18. Applications denied otherwise, 10. Applications withdrawn, 5. And as of the moment, there are only, well, actually yesterday, there are only 8 applications pending. And so far, that fund has expended $8,582.38. Now, by zip code, 13 of those applications are from Mars Hill, 38 are from Marshall, and 7 from Hot Springs. That's for your information.
Thank you.
Now, the next item is to address regular meeting schedule. And I would like to refer you gentlemen to a resolution altering the regular meeting schedule of the Madison County Board of Commissioners. And I will read. That whereas the Madison County Board of Commissioners, hereinafter known as the Board, are hitherto adopting a resolution, and said resolution is on file with the clerk of the board, which establishes the regular monthly meetings of the board to occur at 7 p.m. on the second Tuesday of each consecutive month, and said meeting to be held in the auditorium of AB Tech located 4646 US 2570 Marshall. Whereas it has become necessary to change the regular monthly meeting location for September, October, November, and December regular monthly meetings due to state and local states of emergency and COVID-19, and the regular meeting space being temporarily unavailable. Whereas, it is incumbent upon the board to follow the appropriate statutory procedures to alter its regular meetings, which said procedure includes, without limitations, the following: the adoption of a revised schedule of regular monthly meetings at least 7 days before the first meeting occurs under the revised schedule of North Carolina General Statute 143-318.12, paragraph A, paragraph 4. The filing of the revised regular meeting schedule with the clerk of the board, North Carolina General Statute 143-318, paragraph 12, paragraph A2. The posting of the revised schedule on the board's website, required by North Carolina General Statute 143-318.12D. The posting of notice of the temporary change at or near the board's regular meeting place, maybe Tech, North Carolina General Statute 153A-40A. Notification of all persons or entities that have expressed information of the board's meeting of the change. Now therefore be it resolved, the Madison County Board of Commissioners as follows. 1, that the regular monthly meeting of the board commencing in September 2020 will be as follows. The September meeting will be on, Mandy will fill in the date, October meeting will, fill in the date, November, fill in the date, and December, each commencing at 7 p.m. at the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Office, Madison County Center, located 258 Carolina Lane, Marshall, North Carolina. It is further resolved that the clerk to the board shall take the following actions. A, immediately receive and file with the clerk's records this resolution. B, immediately post this resolution on the board's website. C, immediately post a copy of the resolution at or near the board's regular meeting place at AV Tech. Immediately notify all persons or entities that have requested information regarding the board's meeting. Resolved this, which will be the 11th day of August, and signed the same day by the chair if it is the board's wishes to, in fact, legally stay here the next 4 months. That's what this is all about, making that move legal.
Make a motion.
Hang on, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
We will need to include those days.
Yes, and
for
Mandy,
those
before we approve it, okay? Let's pull out the calendar. Mandy, help us out here. All right.
District Attorney, do we need to also earmark the work sessions in this as well, or is that okay?
No, the work sessions, we notice those by a notice of special meeting, which contains all of the requirements. This is
Right.
just a
That's fine, just making sure. Thank you.
Okay, September
8th,
will be the 8th. October, we agree, is 13.
correct?
Correct.
November, we agree, is 10.
Correct.
And December, we agree, is 8th. Are we all in agreement?
And just for the record, that's my birthday, so y'all know if you want.
Oh, happy 19th.
If you have,
We're
y'all
gonna
know.
sing for you that day, right?
Say happy
We'll sing for
19th,
you.
man.
We'll sing for you.
All right, thank you, Donnie.
Birthday.
Mandy, are you good with those dates? Okay.
And also notify Santa Claus that we'll be here in December too.
And maybe we can have a Christmas party.
Because some of y'all might get cold.
I make a motion.
Second. In discussion? All in favor? Mr. Brigman did the second.
Done.
All right. Forest Service contract. This is, and Donnie, do you have anything you'd like to comment or say anything about the standard Forest Service contract?
Yes, sir, that's a renewal that we do every year.
And please review, gentlemen, and these folks provide a very valuable service to the county, and that's what we do.
Yep. It appears to be just another update, Mr. Attorney, that just was some last year. Okay.
I make a motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, okay?
All right, gentlemen, we have one other item on the regular agenda, and you have before you the August board vacancies, and you have applications attached that Mandy has done so nicely for us. And we have Mandy, help me out here, make sure I say this correctly. We have one vacancy on the Board of Adjustment due to a resignation, and filling that from the applications that we have for that, we have two.
Correct.
That position would serve through December of '22. Yeah, I'm getting the nod over there. Make sure I have that right. So that would be our first one if we wish to fill that one vacancy on the Board of Adjustment. We have two applications for that position.
Ready for a motion for somebody?
Yeah, you want a motion, or you gonna open the floor for nominations? How you want to do it?
We can do it either way, guys. Either way, however, there's whatever we choose to do. Correct, Donnie?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, let's open the floor up for nominations. We have two that have expressed interest. Mr. Barnhill and Mr. Bedingfield.
I nominate Hart Barnhill.
We have one nomination of Hart Barnhill. Do I have another nomination?
Well, I second the nomination of Hart Barnhill.
Okay.
I move the nominations be closed.
Okay, that's what I need. I have a motion for the nomination to be closed. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the motions have been closed. So we have a nomination and a second for Hart Barnhill. Everybody in favor of him being put on the Board of Adjustment? Okay.
All right, you will notice that we have on the Council of Aging, and I believe that we have only two individuals who have applied.
And we have two vacancies, right? For 2 and 2.
Mr. Chair, I move that we nominate Robin Wallen and Ann Purdue to serve on the Council on Aging.
I will second that. Oh, go ahead,
Discussion?
Mark.
None? All in favor? Okay, all right, awesome.
All right, if you will notice, we have a vacancy on the library board to fill the remaining term of the individual who has resigned, and that term also ends December 22.
You have
And we have two individuals who have applied for that one trustee position on the library board.
Now, did we, just for clarification, Mr. Attorney, didn't we alter how we fill these positions on the library board recently? Wasn't there something that I'm pretty positive that the director of the library had brought us a thing
Yeah,
that.
when Melanie was here.
Well, no, that was before, it was after Melanie,
You're
wasn't
right. I
it?
think just
Yeah.
recently, didn't the director of the library board come and
Changed it so that they made the recommendation for who they wanted.
That's accurate.
That is correct.
And I think
You
the
are
majority of
correct.
the board voted to adopt that.
You are correct.
you're right?
You are correct. So we will withdraw that and refer it back to the library board.
Thank you, Matt, for catching that.
We will refer that back to the library board. Well done. All right. And then we have Parks and Recreation.
Well, we've got nursing home.
Nursing-
advisory.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's all right.
I'm getting my trifocals
Yeah,
adjusted
that's
here.
mighty small print for you.
Yeah, it really is for an old blind man.
I
Anyway,
understand.
3 years, we have one vacancy, and we have one individual who has applied for that.
I move we
Diane Rogers?
put Diane Rock.
Okay, Diane Rogers is on the floor. We have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Congratulations, Diane Rogers.
And we have several vacancies, as you can see, on the Parks and Rec, and we only have one application for that.
I move we do Ann Purdue, Parks and Rec.
I'll second.
Just for clarification, we normally try to do those, I mean, there's no set rule that says we have to do it, but don't we normally try to make sure that all the pockets of the county are
Yes.
represented?
Yes.
So where's she
Do we
from?
know, because
Hang on, Court.
she has a Marshall address on here, but does she not live out more towards, I guess she's Snowbird Road, but that's Marshall, right?
That's Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah, that-
So do we know that, is one of our vacancies, is that for the Marshall area? And we've already put her on another board tonight, so don't want to overload.
That's my only issue. I'll just put on another board too, but I know they're having trouble getting people to show up for that particular board.
Absolutely.
Mr. Webb.
Yeah, having a,
And, you know, Ms. Purdue has a track record of showing up.
and we clearly have 3 other vacancies, so.
Why don't we table that one and see, and you, would like Mr. Webb to table it and then look and make sure we're doing a good distribution, sir?
I would recommend that we talk to Chris Maney and make sure that he's got the proper distribution on his board and that we're trying to maintain that proper distribution.
That's a motion to
No
table.
problem.
Do we have a second?
Of course, I'll also say for the record that if we don't have people from the areas needed that are applying for these positions, we need to fill them. I'm not trying to delay it
No,
indefinitely.
I didn't take it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have a comment on that when we get through. But
Okay.
yes, I'll second that motion.
Everybody, raise your hand for the tabling it. Yeah. Okay.
I have reached out to some folks in the Walnut community because they have recently donated a handsome piece of property to us, guys, and see if we can get someone on that Walnut Community Center.
That would be good.
That will do this, and I've talked to a couple of
I know
folks. and-
somebody that would.
Okay, well, let's talk, Wayne, because they have made a huge contribution to the county
Yes.
by letting
I
us
know.
have that, and they have every legitimate right to be part of this.
Yeah, I know somebody will do it.
Yeah, okay, well, let's talk about that, okay? Mr. Chairman, that is all I have.
Could I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Yep, I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All right, we're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's all go home.
So where's
Wait.